What's going on, guys? Nate Dogg here, bringing you an update to my build, the Cleric, for the Elder Scrolls Online Scalebreaker patch. The Cleric is a tank slash off-healer build meant for solo and group dungeon play and big group trials to run. Without further ado, let's dig into this build. For this build, I have a max magicka and max stamina of 24k. Max health is sitting at 39k, with my magicka and stamina recovery both sitting at 1100, and health recovery sitting at just under 900. I have a spell damage is sitting at 1300, weapon damage sitting at 1500, with my spell critical and weapon critical both roughly about 20%. Both my spell and physical resistance is sitting at 25k on the front bar with my sword and shield. My attributes, I put 30 into magicka. The reason I did that was because I wanted to even out my magicka and stamina. The race I am has a lot put into stamina, or gets stamina passives. So in order to balance it out, I needed to put more into magicka. 34 into health to give me a little bit more tanky ability. When I tank, the more health you have, it seems a little bit easier. To buff up my guy. On my sword and shield bar, I'm sitting at 33k physical and spell resistant, which is cap. My magicka recovery and stamina recovery jump up to 1200. Health recovery goes up to almost 1k. That's after I drink a potion. Active effects, I have dry foods on, which increases max health, magicka, and stamina for 2 hours. I have the Tower Stone, which increases max stamina by 2k there, and the Lord Stone, that increases max health by 3k. We also have minor intelligence, minor endurance, and minor fortitude. That's based off of one of my abilities that I have on my bar. So food I have is Crown Fortified Meal. The reason I have this is because this is given off of dailies. So logging in for so many consecutive days, the more you get, and so for me it's a lot easier than crafting some foods. Other than that, if I run a craft food, I would run this one, long fin pasty with melon sauce, because it gives you practically the same thing. You can compare the two: health, max stamina, and max magicka is all about sitting like 4,100 to 4,400. You go up to the Crown Fortified, max health is sitting at that 4,400, max magicka, max stamina 4,100. So that's what I'm running the same. Potions I'm using, it's called Essence of Health, but really what it is, it's tripods. Restore 8k health immediately, increase health recovery by 20%, restore 7k magicka, increase magicka recovery by 20%, 7k stamina, increases stamina recovery by 20%. Now into the gear I'm wearing. For the sword and border bar, the sword I'm using is Sword of the Willow's Path. I put their Crusher enchantment on it to reduce target's physical and spell resistance by 800. By hitting them and getting that physical and spell resistance reduced from them, it helps your DPSs in your dungeons and trials to actually just hit them just a slightly better than what they would. I'm running defending because as a tank, you're not trying to really dish out a lot of damage. You're supposed to kind of absorb a lot of it, and with physical and spell resistance, this helps you not take as much damage, or harder for you to get hit. The Willow Path set, 2 as you can see, 2 items, 3 items, and 4 items give you recoveries in magicka, stamina, and health. But the 5-piece increases your health, magicka, and stamina recovery by 15%. That's why my recovery is really, really high for this build, is because of the Willow's Path. Over to the shield, I did put max health enchantment on it. More health, easier to tank. Running Divines. Divines trait helps us with our Mundus Stones, since I got 2 of them. They both benefit from this, so that's why a lot of my stuff has Divine traits on it, over to like things like Sturdy Reducing Block and things like that compared to other tanks. This one is also part of the Willow's Path set. Restoration Staff, I also am running this with the Willow's Path. I did Absorb Magicka enchantment, deal 2k magic damage, and restore 354 magicka every time it ticks. Reason I went with that is because a lot of our abilities we use is magicka based. So we need a lot of magicka coming back to us if we're going to dish out a lot of magicka base or use a lot of magicka base abilities. I did Power, increase healing done by 9%. The reason I went with this is because Cleric are kind of like, for role-playing purposes, a Cleric gives out that heal. In my mind, Cleric's a healer a little bit as a warrior, but also in-game, when you play in groups, sometimes a healer just needs a little extra help from the team with someone to give actually a little bit of ability to actually help either heal themselves or help heal the group a little bit. In my opinion, it just helps the group in dungeons run a lot smoother if you actually have someone helping out with the healer, at least one other person. And this trait also helps keep us alive as well. Now over into the armor. As most people do, I'm running a 5-1-1, which I'm running 5 heavy, 1 medium, and 1 light. My helmet here is a heavy. It's part of the Twiceborn Star. I put the multi-effect enchantment on it just to boost up overall all of our main stats of health, magicka, and stamina, because we're using a lot of resources. Stamina for the blocking, magicka for our abilities that we use, and health to keep us alive. On all my big pieces, and what I mean by big pieces is that would be the helmet, the chest, and the legs. I did infuse on those ones because that's where you will get the most benefit out of your enchantments that you actually put on your armor. If this was like a standard armor, or I should say standard enchantment, and I did health, the health would actually be like 900, same as the shield. It'd be 954. But since I went 3, I'm benefiting from 3 with the infuse. But anyways, moving on to the set, Twiceborn Star set. 2 items give you max health, 3 items give you max stamina, 4 items give you max magicka. And the 5th item, if you're wearing 5 pieces of this, you can have 2 Mundus Stone boons at the same time. That's why I'm able to have the Lord and the Tower. Over to the chest. Chest is also heavy. I'm running the multi-enchantment effect, infuse trait on it. Shoulder is heavy. I did max magicka. There again, like I said earlier, it's to help even out my magicka and stamina when I play. So add 300 max magicka, and all my small pieces on here, which would be shoulder, waist, hands, and feet, will have the divine traits on them to boost up those 2 boons that I have, the Lord and the Tower. So increase Mundus Stone effect by 7.5%. Waist, again, max magicka, again, traits divine. This is part of the Willow's Path. By the way, waist was light armor. Hands I did heavy. Again, Max Magicka, trait, Divines. Part of the Twice Born Star set. Legs I did heavy. This one has the multi-effect enchantment on it because it's a bigger piece, so you benefit better from the infused enchantment on it by 20%, and Twice Born Star set. Feet, I have medium armor, again, Max Magicka, Divine's trait. Necklace, as you can see in my accessories here, none of them are the superior color, or I shouldn't say superior, the legendary color, or the gold color, or yellow color. They're only blue. They're at blue, they need to go to purple and gold yet, but with these only being at blue, I am still able to do very well in dungeons. I got a video later that will show you more on that. But anyways, on the necklace, this is part of the Willow's Path. I did health recovery on it, and I put healthy trait on it, increase the max health by 902. For my first ring, it's part of the Deathwind set. I did add Magicka recovery. It's also healthy, and the Deathwind set adds 2k physical resistance. As a Templar, you got a passive in your class line that gives you more spell resistance. So in order to balance my resistances, I decided to pick up this set for 2 pieces to give myself more physical resistance to even them out a little bit better, and be able to hit cap a lot easier. My other ring, I did stamina recovery on this one. Same with the healthy on it, and it is part of the Deathwind set. Over into skills. On my sword and board bar, I have Deep Slash, deal 3k physical damage to nearby enemies and reduce their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. This ability also affects them with Minor Main, reducing their damage done by 15% for 12 seconds. This hits enemies in an area or radius around you of 6 meters out, and you can hit someone about 5 meters out. Radiant Aura. This has a radius of 28 meters, lasts for 24 seconds. When you cast it, apply Magicka Steel to all enemies around you for 24 seconds. This causes you to restore 300 Magicka every 1 second when damaging them, so you have to be hitting them in order to be getting Magicka back. While slotted, this is where we get our health, stamina, and Magicka recovery by 10% more. Over to the next ability, we have Radiant Ward. This is a 5 meter radius, lasts for 6 seconds. This is our first damage shield. Grants a damage shield that absorbs up to 12k, almost 13k damage for 6 seconds. This is based off of our max health. And nearby enemies around us take 3k Magicka damage when the shield is active. And for every enemy hit, increases the shield strength by 9%. Over to the next ability we use is Silver Leash. This one you can shoot at 22 meters. And this ends up pulling enemies to you, dealing 2k, almost 3k physical damage and reducing their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. The reason I have this ability is when you're in a dungeon, you usually aggro all the mobs that are like the mobile ones. When I mean mobile ones, those are, your ones that are like dogs or draugrs, or things that move around, like the sword fighters, your rogues, things like that. Those always come right to you. This one here is for grabbing those archers or mages or flaming astronauts that you can grab further out and bring them to you, so that way it's a lot easier for you to group up a bunch more enemies, and a lot easier for the DPS to control their attack on one focused area. Next ability we have is Pierce Armor. This is our main taunt. range of 5 meters. Hit an enemy with dealing 2k physical damage and taunting them to attack you for 15 seconds. Also hitting them, you reduce their physical and spell resistance by 5k for 15 seconds. Ultimate on this bar we use is Solar Disturbance. You can cast it 28 meters out, 8 meter radius. It lasts for 10 seconds. It deals 2k magic damage for those 10 seconds, and it also applies Major Main, reducing enemy damage done by 30%. This also persists on enemies who also leave the area for 6 seconds. So this is a nice thing to stack on. You stack this Major Main with our Minor Main, which is Deep Slash, to reduce the damage done to you by a significant amount. Allies can activate Synergy, dealing 5k additional magic damage to all enemies in the area and stunning them for 2.5 to about 3 seconds. Over to my restoration bar. First ability I have is Luminous Shards. You can throw this out 25 meters. Has an 8 meter damage radius and lasts for 8 seconds. It deals 3k magic damage to enemies in the area and deals additional 400 magic damage every 1 second for 8 seconds. Allies can activate Holy Shard Synergy, restoring 3k to almost 4k stamina or magicka based on whichever one is higher, and then they will additionally restore 1k to about 2k magicka or stamina, whichever maximum is lower. So if max magicka is higher, then they'll get max stamina as the lower one, and vice versa. Over to the next ability, we have Ritual of Retribution. This has a 12 meter radius and lasts for 12 seconds. This cleanses 2 harmful effects on ourselves, and it, while we're in the area and allies are also in the area, it heals for 1500, while enemies take 1400 magic damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. Allies can use a synergy on this to cleanse themselves of harmful effects and also heal themselves for an additional 3k health. Next ability we have is Channel Focus. This has a 20-second duration. This is on yourself in an area, small radius. The rune grants Major Resolve and Major Ward, which increases our physical and spell resistance by 5k, and it also helps us recover magicka every 1 second for the duration, if we're standing in it. And it says down here, standing within the rune increases physical resistance and spell resistance granted by 50%. What that means is, when I lay this on the floor, and I was standing in it, my physical resistance was at 33k. If I walk out of it, since I cast it, I have 30k resistance. So standing actually in the rune, you get more. So pretty much that's what that skill means there, is if you're actually standing within it, you get more than what you would if you were out of it. You still get some resistance if you're out of it, but you tend to get more if you're in it. Over to the next ability, we have Rapid Regeneration. This has a 28 meter radius and lasts for 5 seconds. This allows us to heal ourselves or nearby ally for 12k health over 5 seconds. Next ability we have is Spike Bone Shield. This is our other shield. It has a 7 meter range and a duration of 6 seconds. Gains a shield that absorbs up to 12k damage for 6 seconds and returns 65% of direct damage absorbed back to the enemy. This ability scaled off our max health. Allies can activate a synergy, granting the ally and up to 5 other allies a damage shield equal to 32% of their max health for 6 seconds. Last ability on this bar that we have is Remembrance. has a 20-meter radius. It heals you and heals me and nearby allies for 5k health every 1 second for 4 seconds. We gain major protection, reducing damage taken by 30% for 10 seconds. And this one you cannot move while channeling it, but we do also gain immunity to disabling effects. So, Ritual of Retribution and Channel Focus are our two main abilities that we use to recover magicka. Channel Focus gives us magicka back just based off casting it. Ritual of Retribution, and that gives us magicka back because we send down Radiant Aura, and it affects enemies in a 28-meter radius for 24 seconds, and this one damages enemies every 2 seconds for 12 seconds, so every time that ticks, every 2 seconds, you should get roughly about almost 500 magicka back based on, your channel focus, and 300 magicka every second you're damaging them. You can make it every second by either hitting them or sending luminous shards out. That's why. Over to passives I use. In your class, I recommend getting them all. So that would be Adriatic Spear, get all your passives. Same with Dawn's Wrath. Same with Restoring Light. Get all the passives in One-Handed and Shield. And get all the passives in Restoration Staff. Armor, light armor. Get the top 3 for the light armor, just because the other 2 bottom ones only affect you if you're actually wearing 5 pieces of light, and we're only wearing 1, so they're kind of a waste if you would put points in them. So just the top 3. Medium armor, you do the top 3 and then the bottom one, because the bottom one is actually not affected by 5 pieces of armor. It actually helps you move faster and reduce the roll dodge by 4%. You don't have to get improved sneak. I just get improved sneak just for really no reason. I just kind of want it, so I just kind of put it on there. Heavy armor, you want to get all the passives in this one. Soul magic, I would get soul summons, because soul summon is you do not use a soul gem when you get revived, or when you use it, you don't use a soul gem, and then you have to wait another hour before you don't use another soul gem again. Fighter's Guild, I would get Intimidating Pressure, because Intimidating Pressure is meant for questing, and it helps you kind of through the leveling process. It's a little bit easier to get questing done that way too if you have Intimidating Pressure. Make sure you get Slayer, Banish of the Wicked, and Skill Tracker, because those ones help you actually do damage against your undead, your Daedra, your vampires, your werewolves, and you actually get ultimate every time you kill them. And in this game, there are a lot of those out in the world, so, and even in dungeons as well. Mage's Guild, just make sure you get Persuasive Will. We don't really touch anything in this magic tree, but Persuasive Will helps you through questing as well. Undaunted, you want to make sure you get the bottom 2 passives. These help you restore max health, stamina, and magicka once you use an ally's surges. And the bottom one actually gives you max health, stamina, and magicka by 2% per type of armor we're wearing. And since we're wearing 1 heavy, 1 medium, and 1 light, it's 3% on the first skill use, and then on the second one it gives us 6. So that's why I have such a big health pool, stamina pool, and magicka pool. Race I am an Imperial. Reason I went with an Imperial is because they get the max health, good for a tank. Max stamina, this is also a good thing for a tank. And right here is reduce the cost of all abilities by 3%. That helps a lot when we're casting magic abilities or even stamina abilities. And every time we deal direct damage, we actually heal ourselves for 300 health, magicka, and stamina. Only once, so every 5 seconds. Am I saying that the Imperial is the best race, that you absolutely have to use the Imperial for this build? No, you don't have to use an Imperial. I use the Imperial because my flavor and my idea of a role play for a Cleric was the Imperial. They just kind of, if you look at the Imperial culture, they just kind of give me the vibe of they fit well with Holy Warriors. To me, it wasn't really much of a Paladin, but more of a Cleric style. For provisioning, I took Gourmet because I'm using food. That gives me actually 20 extra minutes for the food. If you were using a drink, which has a lot to do with recovery, or I think some of them actually have to give you max stat and then recovery, I'd probably take Consier to add 20 minutes to your drinks. Another very good passive in this crafting trees would probably be medicinal use. Medicinal use, when using a potion, resulting effects last 30% longer. That gives your potions, continuously giving you health, magicka, and stamina over 47 seconds when the cooldown on potions is set at 45 seconds. So you have a 100% uptime with your potions if you have medicinal use. Over into champion points. As you can see on my guy on the bottom corner, I have champion points at 456, so I'm not even max champion. This build works for me. Tower, I put 26 points into the Warlord here. I put 45 into Arcanus and Mooncalf, which helps with our magic and stamina recovery. I put 18 points into Tumbling and Shadow Lord. Over in the blue tree now, I put 16 into Bless and Elemental Expert. I put 13 into Elfborn and Spell Erosion. I put 14 into Staff Expert and Physical Weapon Expert. I put 12 into Master at Arms. I put 12 into... I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'm not even gonna say it. Then I put 13 into Piercing Strikes and Piercing. I put 16 into Mighty. Over into the red tree, I put 17 in Ironclad and 23 into Spell Shield. Next one, I put 16 into Thick Skin, 15 into Hardy, 17 into Elemental Defender. In the last tree, I put 20 into Bastion. Quick Recovery is at 19, and Heavy Armor is at 25. Other than that, that is pretty much it for all stats and things I run with the guy. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned if you want to actually see the build in play. Other than that, we'll see you guys in the next one.